Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pinnacle Mindset Talk Show. Today is the second of our series of our talk shows, and we are talking about, we're continuing on the theme of 2 weeks ago, and we're still discussing the stigma surrounding the LGBT community. But today, I want to welcome along Cailin Tyler. So 2 weeks ago, we got a perspective of two gentlemen that had both come out as gay. And today we've got Cailin, who has also come out as gay, and she will give her perspective today on some of the things we discussed. And it'll be really interesting, really, to talk about some of the things and just see from a different perspective. Along with me tonight is the water boy himself, Bobby Boucher. Welcome along to Robbie.
Hello.
Good stuff. So we'll go through some questions in a little while, but just as we talk. But Cailin, it'd be really good to sort of just get a bit of an understanding. I know we were talking a little bit off air then before, but just get your perspective really on the LGBT stigmas community and how anything that you've experienced sort of coming up through your younger days into the current day.
Well, hi guys. So first of all, I obviously didn't grow up in England, and I've not been playing rugby or sort of been part of a sports group for a very long time. I did it more in uni, but growing up in South Africa, there's not a lot of lesbian role models. And growing up, to be quite honest with you, I didn't even know what it was. I only knew about gay men. That was it, because my brother was friends with a gay guy, and that was it. That's all I knew. I didn't even know what a lesbian was. Didn't know it was a thing. Just didn't ever think about it. Didn't cross my mind. So growing up, I just didn't really know what I was. I just thought, oh, I must be straight like everyone else. Because you, as I was saying to you earlier, you don't come out as straight, do you? So you just assume that's the automatic way you go to. So growing up.
At what sort of age were you sort of experiencing that you were thought that the norm was to be straight? And obviously, I apologise for referring to you as gay earlier. I mean a lesbian. But what sort of age were you really sort of a bit unsure and looking for a little bit of guidance on that?
So I only came out when I moved over to England. So when I was younger, I didn't know what it was, but around 13, 14, when all the other girls were looking at all the boys, I obviously thought, oh yeah, they're pretty good looking, but there was certain girls in my school group that I kind of thought, oh, they're really pretty, and I didn't really know what that was. Just kind of grew up not really understanding what any of that was, and I just carried on dating guys, dating boys until I was about 20, 21, 22. Can't really give an exact age. Can't remember.
You had 7 or 8 years of sort of just going through the motions just because it was expected.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. That's why I say growing up with no lesbian role models, I didn't know what it was. When I moved to England, it's a bit more spoken about and a bit more open, and people are happy to talk about being gay and being lesbian and what that world is. Because coming from South Africa, it was you're dating a guy, and that's just the end of the story. There's no. It's a bit better when I went back and I knew what it was coming from England, but I just genuinely didn't know what it was. I didn't think I could do it, and then came over here, watched some comedians that were gay, and kind of thought, oh, that could be why I'm feeling that way or thinking that way. And it did help me kind of get into the right mindset. But at that time, I was dating a guy back in South Africa, and I just said to him, listen, I don't really know what's going on with myself. I think I might be bisexual. And he was kind of like, well, do what you want, because isn't that every man's dream is a bisexual girlfriend, as far as I'm aware. But he was quite happy about that. But then I kind of went, actually, you know what? I don't know who I am. And that was when everything started kicking off, and I kind of discovered that, okay, I am gay, and I just need to see who I am as a person. And that's when it all sort of bubbled over, and I didn't really come out to my mom per se. I think my best friend I don't even remember this, but my best friend at well, he's still my best friend, but one of my best friends at the time, one of my first friends when I moved over here, we used to go out all the time, and I think we got quite drunk one night, and I said to him, you know what, dude, I think I might be gay. And he was like, well, shit, I didn't know that. Kind of just was like, oh, well, whatever makes you happy. And that was quite nice to come out to someone like that. And I mean, I never came out to my mom. I didn't have to. I think that's what's probably one of the nicest things is my mom just kind of came up to me one day and went, you've been watching a lot of gay programs lately because of like this thing's called the L word. It's like what people call the lesbian Bible. And I'd been watching that, just obviously learning and trying to figure out, is this who I am? And she just said, oh, you've been watching a lot of that, like, are you gay? And I went, yeah, I think I am. And she was just like, okay. And that was the whole conversation. I think that's like the easiest conversation I've ever had. And like my dad was a bit funny because I think I had a few beers and I told him as well, because he's my dad. It was just a bit different telling my dad, because I didn't know how he would react. I was quite scared of my dad to.
Daddy's little girl, aren't you, and all that. Again, that's another stigma around it, and we're going to talk about stigmas later on.
Yeah. Well, my dad, I don't know what it was with my dad. I think he's just, my dad's not as, I'm not as open with my dad as I am with my mum. Like my mum and I are really close and we talk about loads of stuff. Whereas my dad, I just kind of, I'll just tell him, oh yeah, I've done this today, gonna be this, gonna be that, do that, whatever. But I kind of went up to him, and this was quite a deep talk for us. So I kind of went up to him and I had a few beers and I said, listen, Dad, I'm seeing this girl back in England. This is when I'd moved over here. A few years later, come back to visit. And I said, I'm seeing this girl, I'm really happy. And his first response was, and I don't think he meant it in a bad way, but he came across like, oh, what an idiot. But he was like, oh, if you're gay, you can still get married. And I kind of went on going, oh yeah, you know, this was before gay marriage was legalized everywhere. And they were like, oh yeah, gay marriage is getting legalized in a lot of places now, it'll be fine. And he was like, no, to a man. And I was like, well, no, Dad, that's not really how this works. Bless him. But he's come around to it now, and he's really supportive, and his wife, I think his wife sort of helped him along to understand, because I don't think my dad just doesn't understand things. He's very much, this is how I see it, and that's the end of the story. So it took a while to sort of, for him not to come around, but to understand how I felt. So that was probably one of the harder conversations I've had to have. But yeah, it was quite supportive after that. And then when I sort of got broken up with my girlfriend or whatever, he was like, oh, I'll go beat them up. And but in the beginning, it wasn't like that. So it was quite nice for him to see now he's come around. And yeah, and then I've then obviously you join university, and it's just normal in university to experiment. So you've got loads of girls who go in, oh yeah, well, let's sleep with a girl, we'll do this, do that. Whereas I was like, no, well, I'm gay. Like I've come out by this point now. And it was nice to just be around people that kind of don't care in a way. It's just, you are who you are. And that's just, well, I surround myself with a lot of people like that. So if people are negative and they don't accept other people or other cultures, then I don't really want to associate with those kinds of people. So I think
that's such an important point to make. That's the same about anything and anybody, and we're going to talk a little bit more about sort of perspectives of what you expect the ideal person, of what a normal person is. But whether you're suffering from depression, anxiety, whether you're gay, straight, bisexual, whether you're anything that's got going on, if you surround yourself with negative people, then they're going to bring you down automatically, and everyone deserves to be happy. I think that's a really important point that you make there. Good stuff.
Yeah, so I think that made my life a lot easier. When I was coming out in uni, you hang out with people because they're in your friend group. Like I started playing rugby in uni, and you meet people and you kind of go, do I actually want these people in my life? And eventually you weed out the ones you do want and you don't want, and not in a horrible way as it sounds, but you kind of go, I'd rather hang out with so and so because they're quite positive and they see things differently. But coming through uni, I mean, it was quite hard for me moving over here. I didn't have a lot of friends and didn't know a lot of people. So the guy that I came out to, that was my friend, it was nice for him to just accept that and go with it, because he thought he had feelings for me at this point and I told him, and he kind of was like, oh shit, not too impressed now. But
the ultimate block, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it upset him a little bit, but I said to him, listen, you've got the choice. We can stay friends and we can have exactly what we've had, and you can accept that this is who I am, or you can leave. And he chose to stay, and he's still in my life now. We're really good friends, and I think that's a massive thing for people to just realize that you can't change someone. If that's who they are, that's who they are. And I think coming out as gay, I think that's one of the big issues, is people think they can change you, or they go, oh yeah, if you sleep with the right man, or you do this, you won't be gay. And it's just not the case. It's not about sex. It's about a connection. And it's a whole different, it's like you can't just go and sleep with someone and be like, oh yeah, well, that's great, I'm gay now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people need to understand and accept. And I think hanging around with the right people really does, as you're saying about mental health, like coming out and having that support system around me, it was massive. I think if I didn't have my mom and my friends just saying, I came out to friends in South Africa over message and just saying, you know what, mate, if that's what you want to do, if that's who you are, great, you carry on. As long as you're happy, I don't give a shit who you love. And
that's amazing. So
having that,
awesome.
So what you're saying effectively is you've had a really quite a positive experience of coming out, and obviously you explained that your dad was a little bit of someone you had to work on a little bit, and just maybe that's a little bit of an old school perception, but generally you've had a really good experience. Have you got any advice for sort of people, and because there must be stigmas around, and were you worried about what the experience that you were going to sort of have of coming out and be worried about
absolutely. I mean, you think people aren't going to accept it. They're not going to, like, a lot of the problem with coming out as gay and having friends that are girls is people think, oh, you must like me because you're a lesbian. And it's like, well, no, because you've been friends with me for years. It's not just suddenly going to change. I'm not just suddenly going to have feelings for you. So that was a massive thing for me, is telling my female friends, not having a lot of friends in this country anyway. Like the ones I had back home were like the people I talked to quite a lot at that point. So if I came out and they're gone, oh, well, I don't really want to be friends with you because you probably like me now that you're a lesbian. And it was a bit like, oh, do I tell them? Don't I tell them? Do I just leave it because I don't see them? So that was quite a question in my mind, I think, was, are people just going to not be friends with me because of it? And I think I was a bit worried about like some of my family, because some of them are quite Christian and quite old school. And I just thought, are they going to accept this? Because my auntie's in her 70s now, so she's not exactly young. And I thought, is she going to just like kind of freak out? But she was absolutely fine. And I think it's your mind is your own worst enemy a lot of the time. You can think up situations and think, oh, they're Christian, they're not gonna like, yeah. It's actually, like, I found out that certain family members of mine had had lesbian experiences that I obviously didn't know about, but someone told me about it, and I was like, oh wow, like, just didn't expect that. But then
It's like you say, it's more almost like the automatic anxieties you had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You automatically worked it all up in your head, and then it actually turned out to be totally okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing about anxiety, is it will play a game with you. And when you came out, I mean, from your story, it's an incredible story of everything. It turned out all right for you. You know, it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that there are situations where it's not going to turn out all right. It's situations that you've heard about where people have been kicked out of their homes by their parents or stuff like that. And I think the main thing, if you are trying to come out and that sort of, you have that kind of feeling, make sure you have a good support system, because you will have friends and you will know who they are that will be there for you no matter what. And having that support system around you, even if you're scared to come out to them, you know the people that are going to be there for you thick or thin. Because I do. I could tell you now off the top of my head, I have quite a lot of people that if I told them I was going to turn into a dolphin, they'd still be my friend. And I think those are the kind of people you need to make sure you have in your life. And if you are struggling, there's so much support out there. Like, I used to volunteer at the LGBT Centre, and as much as it's you going in a room with strangers, those strangers are in the same boat as you, and they'll look after you, and they'll be there, and that's someone to talk to. And I think just, even if you're not coming out yet, go in there and being in that environment and seeing those people, and that they're okay, even though they're going through a really hard time. Like, there were trans kids there, and it is a difficult headspace to be in. And if you are struggling, go to those places. You don't have to tell anyone. And I think that's what people don't realize. They think, oh, what if someone sees me? Like, no, just there's one in where I live, and if you just go to, I live in Leicester, there's a centre there, and if you go there, they're not going to tell anyone. There's no pictures, and you can just go there and you can talk to people who are in the same boat as you, and talk to people who have got experience with coming out and difficult situations, and it is a comfort to know that those people are there for you, and you can talk to them about anything, no matter what you're feeling.
I think what I've sort of taken away from what you said there is you sort of had your immediate support network in terms of your family, your close family, and a couple of friends when you came over. But I think the point you're making is that you don't necessarily just have to have that close support network. You can seek support from anybody at all, and far and wide. And there is everybody. There are community groups in every city, every town that you're living in that can help. And even I assume there must be community groups on social network sites like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and things. There must be people to help everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just reaching out. I think reaching out is the first step. It is the hardest step, I won't lie. Like, coming out for the first time is scary, because you're like, is this who I am? And once you've come out, you can't take it back. And I think that's the scary thing. But I think people just need to make sure they've got that support network. As you say, like, you can reach out and talk to someone. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your family, there are people out there that you can talk to. There are mental health charities if you feel like it's affecting your mental health, and there are, you can message pages and they will tell you who to talk to, because there is so much stuff out there for mental health. I mean, even on the NHS, there are things you can do, and I think making people aware of them is what's important. A lot of people don't know about that and don't know that they can get that support.
Well, yeah, just to reiterate that point, here at the Pinnacle Mindset talk show, we're all about trying to find the pinnacle mindset for people, where we're discussing all matters of mental health issues. And hopefully people listening to this and listening to the previous show and future shows that we're going to be doing, we're going to be covering various different topics, and it's all about trying to help people through experiences. And people that are suffering, if they want to get in touch with us, we have email addresses, we have social media sites, and they can get in touch with us and we can signpost you and help you through positions. If
definitely.
we don't know directly ourselves, we can talk to other people, and we've got loads of different contacts. So please get in touch with us if you're looking for a bit of support. As I say, we can help you. So please get in touch. But the other thing to say is, if you want us to cover any specific topics that you've got questions about, then please get in touch with us as that, and we can ask any questions to the guests that we're getting on. So please come on. Sorry, just a little plug there for
No, that's good, and getting it out there.
So just to move on, you were talking quite a lot there about the LGBT community. How's that been? Sort of, obviously at the moment it's Pride Month, and I've mentioned it before, but unfortunately because of lockdown, there's not any events going on, which is a massive issue because people can't get out and sell the message and change the stigmas. We were talking briefly before about some of the stigmas surrounding the LGBT community, but how is it in terms of the LGBT community? How is it, first of all, within the community, and are there any stigmas specifically relating sort of between different people and different groups? Absolutely. And then what the wider community, what's sort of expected? And
so in the LGBT community, I mean, there's massive stigma. I mean, there's trans people, there's bisexual women, and there's lesbians, and obviously there's like everyone else under the sun. And I think a lot of this is just a box. Obviously, not everyone thinks this way, because most people are quite open-minded. When you go into the LGBT community, you do get a lot of lesbians that will say, "Oh, if you're bisexual, you're just greedy." And I think that's a really negative stigma to put out there, because you can't help who you love. And I think people just need to just stop judging people on who they love and just accept them. And I think that's one. I mean, I've noticed that a lot. Being a lesbian, the bisexual women do get a lot of negative press, because obviously people just seem to think they want both, and it's not they don't want both, but they just want it all. And I think that's really negative, and people really need to step away from that stigma, because I think that's really bad on people's mental health. Like, I've known a lot of bisexual women, and it's not that they're greedy, it's just that they find both genders attractive. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's the main one that I've seen. Obviously, trans people have quite a negative name because people don't understand it, and I think that's why Pride is so important, because it's about explaining who this person is and why they feel that way, and if you know about something, or you know why it is that way, you're not afraid of it. And I think people are just afraid of the unknown, and that's why trans people are scary, is because people don't understand why people are trans. They're just they just don't feel right in the body that they're in. And I think that's what people need to understand, but some people just can't get it through their heads. And that's the issue, is you're afraid of the unknown. And if you just understand people, in my opinion anyway, it'll make the world a better place. Just give people a chance to explain who they are, and whether you accept it or not.
So can I challenge you on that though? But so why do people need to justify who they are, and why do you feel that trans people almost, they don't need to stand on the top of the roof and shout I'm trans because of X, Y, and Z? Surely they can just legitimately live their lives because that's who they choose to be.
Absolutely agree with you, but but even with gay pride, we've had to come out and say this is who we are. You can either accept it or not accept it, but we've explained who we are, and I think that's made people a bit more understanding of what gay is and why people are gay. And I think that's possibly made it more acceptable, and people have stopped judging it. And I think because trans it's not new, but it's more spoken about in the media now, and it's more forefront because things are coming up and things are changing. And I think people are just scared of change and scared of, well, why do they have to have that? And I think it's just, I'm not saying trans people have to do it. It's the same as the Black Lives Matter. Go and educate yourself, but a lot of people won't do that, and that's the issue. Is people are too stubborn to say, I don't understand this, I'm going to go look it up, and that is the issue. So if we go up and go, actually, I'm gay, this is why, people can go.
Lack of education of people, it's not even just, they're just genuinely just people don't automatically judge, and they automatically got this idea. Instead of going off and doing their research or actually getting to know people in that community, they just jump and then that's the idea, this is how I think. I mean, I definitely see what you mean there.
I think the media have a little bit of a responsibility there as well, and I think
absolutely
they do sell sometimes quite a negative picture, but unfortunately the positive side of things doesn't always come out because it doesn't sell papers and things like that. So I think everyone has a responsibility there to broadcast the truth, but also to understand how people are feeling as well.
No, absolutely. I think it's very much people, as you say, because of the way the media portrays people, that's the stereotype now. That's just who they are, whether they're whatever they are. That's just, okay, if you're a lesbian, you must be butch, you must have short hair, dress like a boy, and probably be a little bit overweight. That's a stereotype. And it's, well, actually no, because you as we discussed earlier, you're just a human. Who you love is who you love. It doesn't matter what you look like, how you speak, how you dress, how long or short your hair is. You are just who you are. And I think that's changing. It's not changed yet.
Can you just talk about some of the sort of experiences that you've had with people, what they've been saying to you, and just give a bit of an idea? You said about perspective there and the stigmas surrounding an individual and the stereotype. Do you want to just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so stereotype wise, I mean, I've had people, it's mostly men in bars because they're pissed and they think they're Mr. Big Bollocks. They'll come up to you and go, do you want me to come buy you a drink or something like that? And you kind of, well, no, thank you. And then sometimes, to be fair, they do go, because you're gay. And it's like, well, actually, yes, I am. No, oh, okay, well, are you sure? Because you're too pretty to be gay. And it's like, well, that's quite a horrible stereotype, but thanks. Because why do lesbians have to be unattractive? It's just like,
so do you,
I think
obviously it's hard to speak to somebody that's not very coherent or a bit inebriated, but do you then challenge them on their sort of statements, and how do they sort of behave afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't take no shit.
Do you ever get the experience of and you talked earlier on about people trying, you don't just turn gay overnight, and you can't just sleep with one person and turn gay or whatever, but do you ever find that men see you then as a challenge to try and almost convert you back to?
Absolutely. It's like, oh, well, if they're a lesbian, if you sleep with me, I'll turn you straight. And it's like, well, actually, that's not the case. It's not how this works.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I think some people will sit and listen to you and go, actually, oh, I'm really sorry. And whether they do it again, I don't know. But if someone you don't know, you met them in a pub and they go, oh, you're too pretty to be gay, and you go, actually, that I find that quite insulting. And you'll explain it to them. And some people will actually go, oh, you know what, I'm really sorry, I was in the wrong there. And maybe you've changed their perception. So I think challenging that kind of behavior is really important. It's, if you just let it slide, they'll do that to the next person that comes in and has that same comment.
Isn't it?
Is pardon?
It's about education. You're educating the person, and then that
Absolutely
person will then educate to their friends and family, and they won't do it. You know what I mean? They don't automatically assume. They just go, "Oh, that girl looks pretty," and they go and talk to them. You know, and you can just say, "Yeah, or nay," shall we say? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, yeah, definitely.
I think another issue is, especially for going out, is a lot of women will just say that they're gay to get men to go away. And I think using that, I can see the reasoning behind it, but I think that does have negative results as well. I mean, it's not portraying who they are, and then a lot of guys will just say, "Oh no, they're just saying that because they're not interested," and I think that can be quite a dangerous thing to do as well. But I suppose it's a lot to do with how women feel in the place that they are. So if they feel safe, then they'll just say, "Oh no, thank you, I'm not interested." But if they're with other women and the guy seems quite big, you can even, as if I'm being honest, like as a lesbian, like just saying, "Oh no, I'm gay, no thank you," you're still a bit worried because some guys could just be like, well, as you say, take it as a challenge, keep going, get a bit sort of taken away with it. I've not personally experienced that. I think I'm quite lucky in that respect, but there has been times where women have just kind of said no and men just carry on badgering them, and I think that's quite a scary situation to be in.
I mean, must be really intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's not as much an LGBT problem as just being a female in a pub. If you're not with a guy or with someone who's kind of has a bit more say in things, and if you're just a quiet female, a lot of people will just pick up on that and just sort of bait it, I suppose. But going back to like LGBT and stuff, I think, as I said before, I've not experienced a lot of stigma. I think I'm quite lucky. I'm quite a loud, strong person, so, and personality wise, so people don't tend to do anything, and I've got long hair, so as I say, with a stereotype, I don't look like, well, all the time, I don't look like stereotypical lesbian. People don't look at me and go, "Oh, she's definitely gay." So I think people just don't tend to do much because I'm quite a loud, strong person. People don't tend to pick on me, or sort of, if I say no, then that's it. And I'm quite, I think that might be the South African in me, just like, no, get lost, thanks.
A little bit of fight in you.
Yeah.
What sort of experiences have you seen and friends experienced then, in terms of people being forceful or racial slurs against them, and just basically people being pretty dumb and naive in society?
I think like if you walk down, to be honest, I still feel, what's the word, like eyes on you when you're holding your girlfriend's hand down the street or walking with someone down the street. I feel self-conscious. I feel like people are looking at me, even though they're probably not. But I don't know if that's down to me, or if it's down to worrying about what society is judging me by, because I love this, or I'm with a girl. Are they thinking, "Oh yeah, dyke"? You know, how that's a big one, and I think people say it as an insult, and that has been thrown around now, like in aggressive situations where people are, not to me, obviously, as I said before, but I have had like friends come around and say, "Oh yeah, I was walking down the street and these guys just started shouting, 'Oh, fucking dyke,' and you look like a lesbian," or blah blah. And it's just the fact that you shouldn't be shouting that to anyone, let alone someone who is gay or whatever. It's just, I mean, God, didn't we grow out of that when builders stopped shouting off building sites, like in the 90s? Like,
well, this is something they asked on the last show they brought up, and Nick, I was definitely stunned when I listened to the show. I was stunned that is still going on in this day and age of, you're still walking past the building site and they're still, you know, obviously it's a stereotypical, they're shouting words at you, they're still shouting abuse. in this day and age, it's still happening. It's not even just a man on man. It's still happening girl on girl in relationship wise. I think it's despicable. You know what I mean? Obviously, I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's just inhumane. I don't like, as you say, it is that you do get girls out there that are like, well, don't come near me. You're a fucking lesbian. You're disgusting. Get away from me. And you just kind of like, well, why? What? It's not like I've got a disease. It's just. I'm not going to talk to you.
Do they almost? Is it so ill-informed? Are they so uneducated? The fact that they think that you're gonna, as soon as you touch them, they're gonna catch something, or like you're gonna turn them into a lesbian by like magical X-ray vision, or so? Is it genuinely that stupid where they think you can't associate with me because you're gonna influence me or whatever?
Personally, I think people have their own issues, and it's a lot to do, as you say, it's a lot to do with mental health. And I think people are so scared of who they might be that if you come near me, oh my God, it's going to make me look like a lesbian because I'm friends with a lesbian. And I think that's just the fear of what other people are going to think. And their mental health is, as I said before, all the anxiety in your head. You're thinking up all these scenarios, and being around someone who's out and gay and happy and are who they are. A lot of people, one, it's fear of being associated with that, because people might figure out who you are in like the dark, in the middle of the night, that you don't tell anyone about because you're so scared of what people are going to think. And two, it's about, some people don't know that's what they are. So being around someone who is so happy in their skin and has come out and people have accepted them, it's like, it's almost an insult. So you've come out, why are you happy? Why can't I be happy? Why can't I tell my friends and family and they accept that? But I'm so scared. And I think seeing someone else in that position, it's a horrible, it's like, I can't even explain it. It's just a horrible situation, because you think, well, they're that and they've come out. Why can't I? And you're down on yourself. I think it's very much to do with, as you say, mental health. It depends what that person's going through. And I think not putting it down, because some people are just plain arseholes, and that's just who they are. They want to be big up in front of their friends. They think they're funny. They think it's a joke. They think making you feel shit makes them look big and funny and cool. And that's just how some people are. And you can't educate those kind of people. Sometimes people are just who they are, and that's it.
That doesn't mean that you should change as an individual because of one or two people in society. That just, you don't need to associate yourselves with these sort of people, and ultimately just be who you are and be happy. And at the end of the day, if you've got to stand on the top of the mountain and shout who you are because you're proud of what you are, then do that. But you don't feel like you need to justify yourself to anybody about anything at all.
No, exactly.
You're chatting about you had an amazing, obviously, sound of an absolutely incredible support network behind you, of all your friends and even your family. You know, it was such incredible. But was there any difficult times, should we say, from even just the run up to actually confusing times, maybe, of obviously for people who might be going through that, actually you can relate to, shall we say?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, before I came out to so I was 21, dating a man when I moved over here, and I didn't know what was going on with me. I wasn't happy. I was really struggling. When I was about 15, my brother committed suicide. So
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I just didn't know how to process a lot of stuff, and I processed that quite well as you can. And then I think when he was, as I say, one of his best friends was gay, but obviously a male. And I think I found out that my brother might have thought he was gay and stuff. And I think that made me think about it more when I moved over here, because I wasn't with my partner. I had time to think about who I was, and I think that gave me a lot of time to process a lot of what I was feeling. Because I was with the partner, the guy that I was with since I was 15, I just didn't know who I was. I was growing up, and I was dating him all through those years. Then I moved over to England, and it was confusing. I really, honestly, for years, I struggled. I just didn't know who I was, and I thought, if I come out as bisexual, what?
Did that almost give you the opportunity to sort of have time to think and process?
Absolutely.
Because you, notice, I don't know your ex-partner, but almost because he's not there with you, he's so far down, well, different country, you almost had that opportunity to sort of sit back and reflect on things and think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just gave me time to process what was going on in my head. And I think that's really important when you're struggling, is to give yourself that time and just feel what you're feeling. And is this who I am? And if it's not, you know what? It's not the end of the world. You could come out and go, actually, you know what? Maybe I'm bisexual, or maybe I'm not a lesbian. I was just confused. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. Like, a lot of the time people say, my mom thought I was just confused when I came out. She thought it was a phase. And you know what? If it is a phase, it is a phase. Just, if that's how you feel at the time, there's nothing wrong with just saying, this is how I feel. I'm going to just roll with it. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think a lot of people are just so scared to just try something new and to just be what they think they are. Because at 21, you don't know what you want to do. Well, I didn't, for sure. I didn't know what the hell I wanted. I didn't know who I was. And it's taken me a good few years to process everything and go, actually, this is who I am. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I struggled with anxiety. I drink quite a lot when I just moved over here. Not drink quite a lot, but I was out every weekend, going for a drink. And it's taken a long time for me to process this and to come out and to feel safe and to know this is who I am. And there's nothing wrong with that. And no one that I associate with, because obviously people will, but no one that I associate myself with or know is going to go, ugh, that's not okay, because I just won't associate with those people. And I think that's really important. If someone is being negative, either educate them, and if they can't be educated or they won't be educated, then maybe don't need them in your life, because certainly anything that I've ever done in my life, the people that I love and care about have always supported me, and I've always supported them. And I think that's really important.
Ken, I think that's a really, really sort of strong point to make, and it's a really, really strong point, I think, to end this evening's show on. So thank you so much for this evening. Thank you so much for coming on and give us your perspective on things. It's really interesting just to hear your thoughts from the guys that we had on the last show. And I think this sort of stigma will rumble on, unfortunately, and hopefully people will educate and just listen and just learn and just keep talking, because the more it's talked about in society, then the more acceptable it is, and that's what we need. And hopefully people will make it more acceptable for all elements of the LGBT community, because everyone deserves to be who they are. So thank you so much this evening. Really
no worries.
Robbie, good to see you as always. We will catch up. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. As I said during the talk tonight, the Pinnacle Mindset, we're all about trying to help people get to their pinnacle mindset. So please get in touch with us if you want any support, and watch this space for further announcements about other shows that we've got coming up. See you all soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.